Golden Hour guys discuss the Marc Maron beef. I don't know. I'm not too sure why they're discussing it again. Obviously, I know why. Probably,
I wish people would just call each other and say,
probably clout, but it's getting a bit tired and boring. But they discussed the Marc Maron thing again for the umpteenth time. I feel like, they're always talking about it every fucking week, but they discuss it once more for those of you that care. So this is Chris D'Elia, Eric Griffin, and Brendan Schaub talking about Marc Maron's recent, or not recent, but a few months back when he went on a bit of a tour ranting about comedians and shit and saying how shit the scene is and stuff. These guys have finally plucked up the courage to say something back when he's quit his podcast. So it's kind of funny, but let's hear what they have to say.
I wish people would just call each other and say, it's like I didn't like Schultz going on Rogan and talking about Santino and them.
What was it?
I didn't like that.
I did.
What did I like that? I didn't like that.
I did.
What did he do?
Nah, I'm with Schultz on that. There's this culture, and it's mainly a comic thing, where these guys, especially Rogan, even Fire and the Kid, we've given so many people platforms, and then they want to talk shit, or they're going to...
This is basically what it comes down to. Brendan has this idea in his head where if he invites you on his pod and you sit down and you have a discussion or you have a great time and you come back maybe a few more times, there is no place for you to say anything disparaging about him. There is no place where you can kind of quote unquote platform his op or anything along those kind of lines. It can't be done. Which makes no sense because Marc Maron's a big comedian. He's a popular comedian. Everyone knows he's had these issues with Rogan over the years and maybe some of the LA comics, but you can't deny him an opportunity to go on your show simply because you're afraid he might say something bad about Rogan. If anything, you could just cut it out. You don't need to leave it in the episode. You can just cut out whatever section that he insults or maybe he says something mean against your friend. But the idea that just because you invite someone on your show that they are loyal to you forever, even if you're in the wrong, is absolutely insane.
So let's say you brought Marc Maron on this show and he started going bad on Rogan. I promise you I wouldn't add to it, or I wouldn't even give him a platform. But they decided to, so we just got to be like, oh, it's all good.
I love how he talks this big game. When we've seen a clip of him, he talks a big game about wanting to defend his friends, but he's failed in every occasion. When it came to defending Brian, he failed. When it came to defending and standing up for Chris, he failed. So, and obviously the recent clip that we saw when he went to perform, when he was a judge on that Story Wars show that they hosted, the Comedy Mothership Rogan's Club, when Lucia Gomez brought up Chris D'Elia in like a bad way, almost, joking about him being a pedophile, Brendan just sat there drinking his drink. He didn't say nothing. He didn't roll his eyes. He didn't make a sound. He didn't screw fucking Lucia Gomez. He didn't get up and walk away and walk out of the building. He just sat there and drank his drink. So this idea that he's like, the guy that stands up for all these friends, and if someone, you didn't do that, bro. We've not seen any evidence of you backing your chat. We've not seen any evidence of you doing what you say you think Andrew Santino should have done. None.
It's harmless. I think it's hoe behavior. I think it's hoe shit. I think it's soft. I think it's what's wrong with comedy.
Don't get me wrong. At the time it happened, I did say I found it a little bit strange how that episode came out. I did say at the time when Andrew Santino and Bad Friends Bobby Lee interviewed Marc Maron and he said what he said about Joe and the scene. I did find it odd that that show got aired, or even that clip was left in the edit. I found that a bit strange, considering how those guys like to really suck off Rogan, right? There was, maybe a couple of years ago that wouldn't have happened. Maybe now Rogan's hold and control has kind of waned. But in the past, those guys would go over them, would fucking bend them over backwards to make sure to protect Rogan. So I was confused why they left it in there. But in the case of just having an entertaining podcast, Santino didn't agree with anything Maron said. You just let him say what he wanted to say. And, comedians are usually the people who people think can take a joke and take criticism, are able to kind of laugh at themselves and be introspective. Yo, big up JU for life. Appreciate you. Big up Beige Finger member. What a legend. Appreciate you. Big up JU for life and thank you for the gifted. Big up JU for life and thank you for the gifted. Big up everybody that gets a gifted membership. Make sure you say thank you for JU for life. You're a legend. Big up JU for life. Yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I don't think anything that was said was a bad thing, but I do understand if you're Rogan looking at Santino with a bit of a side eye,
Well, what happened?
Okay, let me tell you. All right, so Maron was on Bad Friends.
Oh.
And Maron was going in on Joe Rogan and that stuff, right?
With one agenda.
But
the only reason he came on with one agenda.
Hold on, Brandon.
Yeah.
And then
Powerful bunch.
Schultz goes on Rogan, and he's saying like he had an issue with them not having any pushback. You know, that there was no pushback from Andrew about hey, and his whole point was like, Andrew goes on Rogan. He basically, really helped him blow up. And it's like, yo, have your friends back. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
that's how it should work.
Now I understand that. But my thing is like, for me personally, I think that I hope he called him and said something to him.
Right.
Like if you really feel that way, then you call your guy and go, yo, man, what you doing? But to go on like
even though Andrew Schultz is right. Even though Andrew Schultz is right.
Actually,
you know what? Let me stop it so you can hear it, and I'll pull it back a little bit. When the alerts play out, I'll let it play. I'll let it play out. Yeah. Bear with me. Big up Jay for life. You're a legend. Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it. Big up Jay for life. Thank you for the gifted membership bomb. You're a fucking legend. All right, cool. Let's continue.
Then blow up, and it's like, yo, this goes on. And Maron was going in on
behavior. I think it's ho shit. I think it's soft. I think it's what's wrong with comedy.
Well, what happened?
Okay, let me tell you. All right, so Maron was on Bad Friends. And Maron was going in on Joe Rogan and that stuff, right?
With one agenda. The only reason he came on with one agenda.
Hold on, Brandon.
Yeah.
And then, so Schultz goes on Rogan, and he's saying like he had an issue with them not having any pushback. That there was no pushback from Andrew about.
There was pushback. That's false. There was pushback. Santino said it several times. He defended the LA scene, defended Rogan. There was pushback. Maybe it wasn't as aggressive as they would have liked, but it was pushback. He didn't just sit there and let him trash these people. He did say something. He did offer up a little bit of a defense and shit.
About, hey, and his whole point was like, Andrew goes on Rogan. He basically, really helped him blow up. And it's like, yo, have your friends back. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
that's how it should work.
Now I understand that. But my thing is like, for me personally, I think that I hope he called him and said something to him.
Right.
Like if you really feel that way, then you call your guy and go, yo, man, what you doing? But to go on like
even though Andrew Schultz is right. Even though Andrew Schultz is right.
Even if he's right.
Hold on. So again, Eric Griffin's confusing. Eric Griffin is upset and annoyed. Number one, at the fact that Santino let Maron come on his pod and trash Rogan and the LA comedy scene. He's also upset or doesn't like that Schultz went on Rogan and called out Santino for letting Maron come on his show and not defend him and not defend Rogan's honor. What? What the fuck? Huh?
Absolutely right.
Yeah,
absolutely right. I would assume knowing Santino, he didn't do this for a lot of people, and I love Santino. I would assume he called Rogan.
Yo, bigger Injury
You're
Ranger.
describing feudalism with Joe Rogan characteristics. It apes genuine friendship and support, but when you look under the hood, it's just an MLM. Maybe they were truly boys once upon a time. That time has long passed.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. Big up NJ Ranger. I'm getting that vibe. Because if you think about it, the Santino thing would never have happened a few years ago. Something changed, The Santino Maron thing wouldn't have happened a few years ago. Something has changed. I'm not sure what. Maybe it's all those conversations, because you do hear more comedians nowadays say that the Rogan bump is like inconsequential. It's not that. You know what I mean? It's not what it used to be. You do hear a lot of comedians
Powerful bunch.
Yeah, big up Sardis. Appreciate you.
I can't believe Santino would side with the Maronians and betray our great leader. We are comedy. We are Legion. Long live sacred Germany. Hits the Elon salute.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. I've just been remonetized. I'm not gonna do that shit. I've just been remonetized. I'm not gonna. You see how I'm my worst enemy. You see how I'm my own worst enemy. I nearly did that salute, even though I've just been remonetized. I've just got this channel back up and running. I nearly did the fucking Elon salute. But yeah, man, NJ is right. Something definitely has changed. I wonder what. Something definitely has changed in the, like around Rogan. He's still a deity, don't get me wrong, but he's not as hallowed as he once was. Something has changed, Something has changed.
Rogan was like, dude, I didn't know it was going to go down like that. Knowing Rogan, he'd be like, it's all good, man. It's all good. Because he's untouchable.
Really?
But for those that aren't,
write him off.
For those that aren't, it's fucked up.
No. Oh, Rogan would write off Santino after that.
No, but I'm saying that interview happened with Marc Maron, and then recently Santino was on Rogan promoting his special.
Oh, then it doesn't matter.
No, they have. He came on Rogan before that.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That came out after, Eric.
But that's what I would think, rather.
Brendan's obviously wrong. Again, one of his skills and talents that needs to get a lot more recognition is Brendan's ability to be incredibly wrong. No, to be wrong, but also think he's right, but be very aggressive about it. Like most normal people be like, oh, I don't think so. Actually, are you sure? No. You was like, bro, you're wrong, right? You could be wrong, but you're out here doing these like certainties and shaking your finger, wagging your fucking finger. Just calma.
Because I wouldn't think that. Rogan's
I don't
pretty.
know. Let's check the timeline of that. I think.
Whatever.
Go ahead.
Who cares, honestly? But
no. But it does matter.
Oh,
it does
okay.
matter.
It does matter. Yeah.
Because it lends to the point to that I don't think Rogan cares.
No,
but but my thing is like you don't. The dude that's almost a billionaire doesn't need defense.
Yeah, I get.
I disagree.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because money's the most important thing. That's why you're talking about it now. That's why you're all bickering about it. If money was so important, you wouldn't really be bickering about Marc Maron thinking that you guys have an outsized influence in comedy and are doing more harm than good.
It's not about money. You're missing it. It's not about money.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's about being a good friend.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I guarantee you, if I go on a podcast, they talk shit about Chris, Brian, you, Jeff Dye, my Rogan. It ain't going. Whoa. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
We've seen the clip. I'm going to play it later, but there's a clip that exists out there where he's on a show where somebody takes a piss out of his quote unquote good friend Chris D'Elia and he doesn't say a damn thing.
No, and I always think it's weird when because it's like, dude, there's no loyalty or friendship with comics. Zero. That's zero. Right?
That's not true.
Zero.
Well, no. You're saying yes. No, I know. But here, let me finish what I was going to say. There is at base there's none, and so if that's what being a comic is, then that's not what I am.
I think, does Chris D'Elia believe the things that come out of his mouth? Like, let's say, right? Let's say that we believe that Chris D'Elia is innocent of the crimes or of the allegations that were levied against him. Does he look himself in the mirror? Is he serious? Did he really expect his stand-up comedian friends to stand by him when he got accused of being a PDF or of messaging barely legal girls? Did he really expect comedians that he knows very well, because he is one himself? Did he expect professional comedians who, by their very nature, as fucking Chris Mack pointed out earlier, are inherently very selfish and self-centered people? Did he really expect those people who are very competitive, self-centered and selfish to stand by his side when he was accused of messaging underage girls, barely legal girls? Do you really, is he for real? Even if you're innocent, did you really expect them to ride for you? Isn't that naive to think so? Isn't that redacted, silly, dumb? Of course they were never going to ride for you. It doesn't mean they're not loyal. It means they're preserving. They're in a state of self-preservation. They want to ensure that they still have a career at the end of this. They're not going to, why are they going to ride for you for? Does that make any sense? Such a strange thing to say. Oh, because they didn't defend me when I was getting accused of one of the worst crimes you could get accused of as a man, right? Do you think anything worse than being accused of being a PDF is maybe being a fucking graper or something, right? And the only thing worse than being a graper is maybe, I don't know. I can't think of something. I don't know. What else can be worse than that? They're both horrible. Horrible crimes. Most men would never want to be accused of. And you think those guys are going to stand by your side? Come on, man. Be for real. Be for real.
Bro, I'm a person first. I'm going to have your back, dude. I'm not going to, there's no fucking, dude, if I'm friends with Rogan and I know Marc Maron hates Rogan, I'm not going to have him on my podcast.
You're not coming on.
That's just not happening.
I'm not.
Why not, though? You can have him on your podcast and not discuss Rogan. Rogan's had plenty of people on his podcast that these guys don't like or don't get along with. That you're honestly grown-ass men. If he says something you don't like, just clip it out of the show. It's your fucking show. You'd be like, Coyle, if money wasn't important, they wouldn't be podcasting on Misfit Pods Perfect Island. Exactly. Big up Coiler. Yeah, big up it's Nate. Big up Nate. Big up Nate. Everyone got to go to 10th planet and lock in or something. I don't want that either. I don't want that. I don't want that.
Powerful bunch.
I want everyone to just get along.
They got Diddy in prison for exfoliating with nut. They can take down anyone at any moment. None of us are safe. Did you know you can save Snapchats?
That first line is crazy. That first line is absolutely insane. I'm never going to go over it anymore. That first line was nuts. No pun intended. Pause. But that first line was nuts. Jesus Christ. Okay. Brendan's getting PTSD from the pod. We got friend of the show. Accused, exposed, same thing. Allegation boys. We got friend of the show. Obviously you're being facetious, but yes, I think he was pretty sure that he would back them. That's the thing though. You can't expect that. I'm sorry. You have to understand that even if you're innocent, if you get accused, like in the real world, right? In the real world, you're not even, you got a regular 9 to 5. If you got accused of diddling, you would lose some friends, and you can't be mad at your friends. People in stream chat, let me know if I'm being mad. If you were accused of fucking diddling in your 9 to 5 job and you lost some friends off the back of it, can you be mad at your friends even if you didn't do it? You can be upset, you can be disappointed, but can you be mad at them that they didn't hold you down and back you up? You got accused of fucking diddling. It's a job, it's a workplace. Why am I gonna, you expect me to kind of defend you and lose my job? Like what? Come on, man, use your brain. You can be up, you can be disappointed, but to think that they should have stood by you is like so naive. It's so, it's bordering on the line of like selfish as well in a way, you know? It's kind of entitled. It's like, what? Why do you think you're special? Why would another grown-ass man sacrifice their living and their ability to support their family to defend Chris D'Elia and his alleged crimes that he may or may not be guilty of? Like, come on, man.
I'm gonna let you use my platform to shit on my buddy who has done more for you than anybody else out there.
Period.
Or
again, I like in the defense of Rogan, they're emphasizing how much Rogan does for people's careers. But when they're not talking about Rogan in this capacity, they like to act like, no, it was just me. I was busting my ass. I was doing sets and reps. I was all over. But now they're talking about Rogan in defending way. They're making it very clear and they're very forthright in the influence he has in their career. Oh, Andrew Santino got everything for. Oh, so now you recognize how much this guy does for you, huh?
Or let me just be the voice of a different type of feeling here. If he's on there, I think that Schultz's point to me was, hey, say something in that moment. Like,
okay, fine, yes.
Yeah, it's okay to have the guy on your podcast. And then like I'd have Marc Maron if he would want to be on my small. With him. I'd be like, what you talking? But the thing is, I hit up Marc Maron myself. That's what I'm saying about it. I'm saying like instead of talking shit.
Again, that's clout chasing. What Marc Maron had to say had nothing to do with Eric Griffin. He's not in the inner circle. He's not one of the 250. Yes, Rogan invited him to perform at the Mothership and do a headline set, which kind of makes him default 250, but he's not really. He's a new addition. He's kind of on the outside looking in. He's really only there because he's friends now with Brendan, to be completely honest. Although, to be fair to him, I think he appeared on Rogan before he was friends with Brendan, but still, he's not who Marc Maron was talking about. So he is kind of clout chasing to try and hit up Maron to get him on his show. He's clout chasing. He also wants the views. So does he really believe what he's saying? That's what I'm trying to say. Does Eric Griffin really feel perturbed and pissed off about what Marc Maron said about Rogan and his friends? Or did he just see the views and all the attention that Marc Maron generated when he went on his anti-Rogan, anti-Comedy Store kind of press run?
Behind somebody's back or like whatever that is, you hit him up. Hey man, what was that? Why'd you do that? Right. I just think there needs to be more of that. But maybe that did happen. I don't know. Maybe Schultz hit up Andrew and was like, yo, man, why you don't know. I don't know. But I just thought that was like, oh, doing it like that? No. I just didn't like that. I don't like none of it. I don't like none of the talking about people like that.
Of course you wouldn't like that because you may have skeletons in your closet. The only person that would say something like this are people that have maybe done some things that they don't want people to know about. Why wouldn't you be okay with comedians policing themselves, calling each other out, holding themselves to a certain account, having a line in the sand, having things that are like a no-go. Why wouldn't that be a good thing? Why wouldn't you want to say vocally aloud, like, hey, if one of my comedian friends got fucking, accused or convicted or found guilty of R-wording somebody, they're dead to me. Why would they be like, oh no, you can't talk about that in public? Why not? That's not me. I didn't do that. Yes, I'm a comedian, but I'm not the one running around touching kids. So if someone does do it, I'm going to fucking, and somebody asks me my opinion, maybe you don't go out and share it just untoward, but if somebody asks you what your opinion is, you're going to say, yeah, I don't fuck with that shit. That's not my boy. I don't know that guy. But I don't like that. You got to call some, like, who owes you a conversation on the phone directly like that? Why should I call you? Why? For what reason? If I feel like you've done something wrong and I want to just speak about it publicly on my own platform and stuff, why do I owe you a conversation? For what reason? A heads up to do what? Like, come on, man. These guys are weird when it comes to stuff. So bizarre. And again, Marc Maron didn't even say anything that deep. Marc Maron just said he feels like these guys are over-representative in stand-up. They're not a reflection on what stand-up is actually like. He feels like maybe they punch down a little bit too much. And they have this de facto gatekeeper role, which they shouldn't have. Which is true. There is maybe an outsized influence and control and whatever that they have on the scene, which again, it's not their fault. It's just that byproduct of being really popular. But you're allowed to have a problem with it and it not be beef. That's all I'm saying. You're allowed to have a problem with Rogan's outsized influence in stand-up and it not be beef. Maybe, Marc Maron and how he talks and comes across as a little bit, whatever. But I still don't think anything that Maron said should need this kind of like, what was it? This kind of AA group meeting, this sort of like therapy session that they're having now at the moment. It really wasn't that deep.
I just don't know. It's just a weird thing.
So this was after it says.
Yeah.
But you know what my thing is? I just think it's hoe behavior. I just think it's soft beta behavior.
Brendan, you're not the person. I know he was a former MMA fighter, but he can't talk like this. Because the moment he was given where he had to prove he was a badass and stood on his shit was when Brian got accused of raping somebody. That's when you stand on your shit. That's when you tell the sponsors, fuck you, I'm doing the show with my boy. Even though someone said that he raped them, I don't believe
Powerful
it.
bunch.
Yo, big up Solazis.
Does my boy have allegations? Sure. Diagnosed depression? Yay. Gambling prom? Cool. Nothing a little pure spectrum CBD can't solve. Promo code SHAB.
Exactly. SHAB. Exactly. But yeah, man, like, I don't know. Big up Solazis. I don't know. I just think Brendan can't talk this big boy talk because he's never done this. He didn't defend Brian when needed. He didn't defend Chris D'Elia when needed. He tucked his tail and ran. So no thank you. And when it was happening too, he didn't say nothing. When Marc Maron quit his pod, suddenly he's got a voice.
Because there's no repercussions.
Gossiping.
Yeah, it's just hoe shit. It's just chicken head shit for views. Because they know him talking shit about Rogan's gonna be hot.
Yeah, I don't. If I'm talking shit about someone, it's joking or on the group text.
Well, this is what I'm saying. So this is what I meant. So
talking shit about somebody on group text is okay. Doing it on the podcast is not okay. Surely if you're not okay with talking shit, you just don't talk shit. No? Surely if you're not good with gossip, you just don't gossip in general. You don't say, oh no, if I gossip in my group chat, it's fine. But I wouldn't gossip in public. No, that's not how it works. It doesn't work that way. But anyway, I guess they got proof here that, that Andrew Santino did go on Rogan after the whole Maron thing happened. Which again says a lot more about Rogan too. It shows that he's not overly bothered because Santino didn't really do anything wrong. Maron went on the show and just had a bit of a rant and kind of let loose when it came to Rogan. But he didn't really it's not like, it was Santino's fault for Maron going on that rant against Rogan. Maron doesn't like Rogan. Rogan doesn't like Maron. It is what it is. I don't think Santino did anything to kind of encourage that reaction from him, to be honest.
Right? So he was on Bare Friends in August, and then Andrew was on after.
Yeah, so Rogan doesn't care.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He doesn't care because Schultz brought that up. He was like, "You better than me, man," because I wouldn't, And it's like, whatever. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't know. When I saw that, I was like, that sucks. There's so many other things to talk about, but it's like I get it. But you know what? Again, that's his friend, and he was really adamant about like I didn't like that, and I get that. Whether he's right or wrong. Friend? No, I get why Schultz is on there saying that. Like he's on Rogan being like, dude, how could you do that? Why would you? This guy with whatever. But I just think it's like, damn.
Yeah, but those.
You're allowed to criticize Rogan, man. I'm sorry. These motherfuckers are too soft. You're allowed to criticize Rogan. I know Rogan has done a lot for their careers. Like, legitimately, single-handedly, he helped Brendan to become a multimillionaire. He's probably not a multimillionaire anymore, but Rogan did single-handedly help Brendan to become a multimillionaire. So I get the loyalty. I understand. But he's allowed to be criticized like every other person. He's not immune to criticism. He's not perfect. He's no god. He's just a regular human being like you and I. He bleeds like you and I, breathes like you and I. The way that they put him on the pulpit and praise him this way is fucking crazy. If anything, it doesn't do him any service. It doesn't help him to have these people like going out their way, fighting his battles, when really isn't a battle that needs to be fought. Marc Maron has a different opinion than Rogan has about his influence in comedy. They have different opinions when it comes to what they think is funny. They have different opinions as to what they think the scene is like and whatever else it may be. That is it really at the heart of it. It's not really that deep. They just come from two different points of view. If anything, it makes it compelling, actually. It actually makes for a really good pod. I'd love to see them on a pod together, Marc Maron and Joe Rogan, because they politically don't align. They're on opposite ends and they have very differing opinions about comedy. It would actually make for a far better interview or podcast to have Maron and Joe Rogan talking to each other than it would to have Brendan on there agree with everything Rogan says, parroting everything Rogan says. You get me? So this whole defense, this whole fighting for his love, putting your fucking Rogan cape on is so wasted on this opportunity. This isn't the time to put a Rogan cape on because it really isn't that deep.
Those guys don't keep the same energy for everybody because Rogan's the king. Yeah, I get it. You know, if that makes sense.
Of course, yeah.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is this, like,
yeah, big up Jay for life. Can go as far as being the complete opposite and putting everyone's business out there, like the bald-headed fat people.
Good gun.
Exactly. Big up Addy Z.
They acting like speaking about Rogan is haram.
Honestly, it's so ridiculous. It's so fucking ridiculous. And I don't want to play the clip again, the Andrew Santino clip, but it's not that bad.
With the video podcast.
With the video, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, me and who else?
Rogan.
Okay.
Who's that?
Joe Rogan.
Joseph Rogan?
Yeah, he's out of Texas.
Oh, Texas. Got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Got it.
Yeah. You love Austin, don't you?
He's running half the planet out of Texas.
Yeah.
He's got a tight hold on the enlightened meathead.
See, there we go. That again, true comments. Runs out Austin. He's got a grip on entitled meatheads. All true comments.
Dude, Maron's disdain.
It's not disdain. It's reasonable criticism.
Reasonable criticism.
Yeah.
When was the last time you spoke with him?
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess it would have been at the store. I never talked to him in Austin. I don't go into the club. I don't really think I'm on his radar. So
something tells me you are.
Oh yeah,
something tells me you are.
I don't. It's weird that you get lumped into a certain thing, and maybe it's my assumption that his army of healthy fellas.
Is that their title? Army of Healthy Fellas is so good.
No, you just got to, got to stay in, keep the machine.
The machine's got to be good.
Yeah.
That's a shot at Bert. Go ahead.
What do you think the Austin shelf life is going to be?
Well, I don't know. Like, I think that it's so effectively tribalized at this point. It really comes down to material. I mean, at what point, it's like whatever they represented in terms of policy. And it's not a stretch. It's like they won. Trans people are frightened. They have no ability to get health care anymore. And they're afraid of being alive and have no freedom left. So that's done. When do you stop with the jokes?
When do you
Again, maybe a little bit painful to hear if you're Rogan, but there's some truth to what he's saying. Again, doesn't seem super insulting, but there's some truth to what he's saying.
Like immigrants, okay, well, they're being ripped away from their homes, and they're all terrified, and okay, so that's done. When do you stop with the jokes?
Right.
I mean, it's one thing to pick on the vulnerable and the marginalized, but I mean, they're down.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
they're down.
Why do you got to keep hitting them unless you're a hack? Now, there's a question.
Big up Coyle in the stream chat. If you went to the mothership, Rogan would send SEAL Team 6 after him. Yeah. Marc Maron will get the same treatment at the mothership as Brendan would if he went to a UFC card. You know that, innit? If Brendan Schaub ever posted a picture of himself at a UFC card and Dana saw that, he would treat Brendan the same way Rogan would treat Maron if he tried to pull up at the comedy mothership.
Wow, Mark. Wow,
He comes in swinging.
Yeah.
No, so I don't know the last time I talked to Joe. People for a while were like, why don't you go on Joe's show? And my answer to that is like, why?
Why? Right. Well, it doesn't service you.
Well, no, I don't need him, and also there's no way for me to like. What am I going to talk to him about? And there's no way for me to sort of not walk out of there and be like, all right, I guess I'll look at my phone. Oh fuck, how long is this going to go on for?
Right.
But it's like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X maybe meeting at one point. Don't you think? Let's go historical with it.
Say it again.
Malcolm X and Martin Luther King meeting. They met at one point.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. And
pioneers of the civil rights movement.
Which one is Malcolm X and which one's Martin Luther King?
Martin Luther King.
I don't really think
that's not Martin Luther.
The analogy doesn't work.
No. He's so bad at analogies. Let him keep going with this. It's going to get funnier as it goes on.
Yeah. Okay. Let me go with more analogies.
He's like, this is if Hitler's and Goebbels had to hang out off the work site.
Why one of those is right.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. That's quick.
Yeah, I think you got half that analogy.
Okay, yeah.
See,
Mark, why can't you just once support me? You know what I mean? With an analogy.
Shut up.
But that was just wrong. It brought race into it in a very profound way.
Yeah.
And I would.
Mine was angled and funny and distant. It went somewhere else.
Yeah, I think on one side of that, there's a guy that's aggressively fighting for the civil rights of victimized white people. God knows they've had it hard enough for a long enough time. But
has Joe asked you?
No.
Oh,
Here's a better angle.
Adam used to go like, "Hey, what?" And I'm like, "No, why?"
Well, because it's interesting being someone like us on the outside of it and watching you.
Oh, you got 1 foot in, baby.
Well, yeah, it's it's right up your ass.
Yeah, that's the other foot.
I think what it is for me is I would love to see you guys chat, but I'd love to see you guys chat in neither of your arenas. It would be the only way it'd be legit. Because if you have to go to his show, not going to work.
Very good.
He has to go to your house, not going to work. You guys would have to do this thing.
It's like setting up a mob meeting
here.
No, seriously.
They should do it here.
Moderated.
You should do it here at Bad Friends.
They should do it here.
It would piss both of them off so fucking much.
Yeah.
Look at the art behind them.
I know.
It would just be of us.
This would be good. Neutral ground.
But you do have to understand something. I have known Joe since he started.
Yeah.
I mean, literally since he first set foot on stage.
In Boston.
I was there.
Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember my initial issues where there was another guy, Kevin Flynn, who was out of the game. And he was like a soccer jock. And at that time, Joe was like a regional kickboxing champion. And my initial reaction was like, what are these guys doing here? This isn't for them. It's like Louis once said to me years ago when Jay Moore started in New York when he was like 17. He's like, it's not for them. It's not for the good looking guys. It's not for the jocks. This is for us rejects, us guys who don't fit in. That's what comedy was. Right.
By the way, was Jay Moore that good looking? Am I crazy?
He was cute back then.
Yeah, for sure.
I do like the fact that Maron admitted that he's hated Rogan for 30 years, kind of subtly there, no? I do like the fact that he kind of admitted he's hated Rogan and what he represents since the moment he set eyes on him in the scene. This beef is long lasting. It's deep rooted, but it's mostly between them. It doesn't have to do anything with Brendan. Has nothing to do with Eric Griffin. The fact that they're going out their way to get themselves involved in this is kind of weird. It's very personal. It's a lot to do with their personalities. They've got very different outlooks on the world, and that's it, man. Let them have their tete-a-tete. But it doesn't require Brendan jumping in, Eric Griffin jumping in, Chris D'Elia trying to jump in to save his relationship with Rogan. It's not that deep, really. It really isn't that deep.
Where's this energy for Brian? Where's this energy for Brian, who had on? I can go through the list who we've had on before they made it.
You know what, Brendan? That's the first thing I thought. The first thing I thought was like, oh well, where was this energy for Chris?
If you're gonna ask for Brian, you should ask Rogan why Brian. The Brian thing is no. Don't ask the Brian question, because when Brian got accused of rape, Rogan essentially acted like he didn't know Brian's name for 2 years or something. Maybe a year and a half. Let's be conservative. Let's be fair. For a year and a half, Rogan refused to utter Brian Callen's name. He literally acted like Brian didn't exist. Then when the coast was clear and all the allegation stuff had subsided, he welcomed him back on the show like nothing had changed. For a year, he didn't speak about Brian. Rogan didn't use his big platform to defend his friend Brian from the quote-unquote false rape allegations. He did nothing to help him. Brian had to be out here doing fucking shows with Sam Tripoli, doing shitty podcasts with Sam Tripoli and trying to make it work. So let's not enter Rogan in the thing, because Rogan is very, understandably so, because he built himself a hefty and very profitable empire. Rogan definitely knows where his bread is buttered, and he definitely makes sure he looks after number one. Don't be confused. If Brendan was to ever get accused, God forbid it happens. Touch wood, it doesn't happen. But if Brendan was ever to get accused of a madness, Rogan would drop him like a hot potato. I hope Brendan knows that, by the way. If he was to ever get accused of a madness, Rogan would be nowhere to be found. Like, he's gonna protect that Spotify bag. So as much as they're jumping in trying to help other people, it's like, just mind your business, stay out of it. It's not really nothing to do with you. It's mostly a Maron and fucking Rogan thing. At most, it might include Santino and shit, because he had Maron on, but it really has nothing to do with these guys.
Where was this energy when all that stuff was going on?
You guys just going to write Chris off? You're just going to write Brian off?
Ask Rogan about Chris. Rogan doesn't like to mention Chris's name, and when he does mention his name, there's always jokes involved, and they're to do with like girls and all that shit. So Rogan clearly has a stance, has a deceit. He drew his line in the sand when Chris was accused of what he was accused of, and they're acting as if the comedians didn't know. Rogan probably had experience about seeing what he saw with Chris. The accusations come around, that probably solidified and confirmed some of his suspicions. But Rogan is definitely gone out of his way to make sure not to have Chris back on the show for whatever reason.
Yeah, all that. So I just go, that's what I'm saying. It's easy to defend the guy that doesn't need defense. Eric,
the reason they're defending him, because Rogan, it is what it is, human nature. But the reason they're defending Rogan, because he can still help them. Chris can't, I can't, Brian can't.
Right. Yeah, it's
that's what I'm saying.
Don't get it twisted.
Period. Yeah.
Who's defending Rogan though? You're defending Rogan. What do you mean they can't defend? Like I don't even know what you're saying there. To be fair,
no. Listen,
they don't care about anyone.
Yeah, that's
no.
But
and if Rogan fell off, they wouldn't care about him.
What I'm saying is, I do. I care about.
Yeah, you do.
I care about how
I do too.
Empathy, man. Eric Griffin, the most empathetic guy in the world. Give him an award. Give him a gold star. Give him a pat on the back. Fuck out of here.
So does
Brendan. You know what I mean? So I didn't like
this disingenuous hack. Just because they're on the outside looking in, disingenuous hacks.
Even for Marc Maron, I was like, I don't like this look for you.
Yeah, it doesn't. It
you know what I mean? Like I'm not. I said this to him to his face.
No, I know.
It's part of his brand, though, isn't it? You're not gonna tell Marc Maron not to hate. You're not gonna tell Marc Maron not to be grumpy. That's part of his brand and has been since the day he came on the scene. Eric is the same guy. He's just not as brave as Marc Maron. Eric Griffin's more of a pussy, but he has the same demeanor. He has the same kind of outlook on life and comedy and shit. He's just not as brave as Marc Maron to come out and say it. But to give Marc Maron a lecture and to tell him how he should behave and how he should act, more like you, I guess, is fucking insane. Especially when it's Eric Griffin.
He said to me. He walked up to me and he was like, "Yo, man, I'm not bitter. I'm not jealous. At the worst, I'm old." And I was like, "Mark, if it looks like
you're a bitter bitch." But here's the thing: the way it works in the world I come from is Marc Maron, with all the shit talk he's talking about, with all the Rogan verse, and you guys aren't going to condone this. He needs to get fucking punched in the face.
This is too much. Threatening to punch Marc Maron in the face simply because he has a difference of opinion when it comes to comedy, when it relates to your best friend in Rogan, the guy that made your career. I understand the need to defend the guy, but to want to punch him in the face because he doesn't think you and your friends are funny is insane. That's an insane overreaction. But it just goes to show how much Marc Maron's words have a lot of validity and truth to them. Because they definitely hit at they definitely hit where they're meant to hit. Because you don't react this way if what the person's saying has not got some element of truth to it. Also, your career, your job is to kind of put yourself out there in the public light. You're going to have some people that are going to suck you off. You're going to have some people that are going to want to rub your back, pat you on the back, give you a hand job, want to hold your hand, all that sort of shit. Cool. You're also going to have people who don't really like what you do, who don't really rate what you do. Not because they hate you or anything malicious, they just don't like it. They have a difference of opinion. That's perfectly okay. They don't need your permission to do that. They don't have to call you to do that. You don't have to allow them to do that. They can just look at you, regardless of what you say that comes out of your mouth, and just say, you know what? Not for me. And that is perfectly fine. You don't get to punch them in the face. You don't get to physically assault them because they don't agree with your worldview. That, my friend, is being a bully.
That's how this should go.
Well, behind a mic,
if you're going to talk all this shit
behind a mic,
and you get physically assaulted, you're going to stop.
Right.
You fucking cuck.
Why is he a cuck, though? That's a weird insult to call Marc Maron a cuck, because he thinks you and your friends are hacks. He doesn't rate Rogan as a comedian. He thinks a lot of the comedians are punching down. Right? How is that? How is he a cuck for that, though? I don't understand cuck.
Go complain to your cats.
Wow, he's calling Marc Maron a cat lady.
Bitch. But here's the thing. The way it works in the world I come from is Marc Maron, with all the shit talk he's talking about, with all the Rogan verse, and you guys aren't going to condone this, he needs to get fucking punched in the face. That's how this should go.
By the way, it's Rogan Sphere, not Rogan Verse.
Well, behind a mic,
if you're going to talk all this shit
behind a mic,
and you get physically assaulted, you're going to stop.
Right.
You fucking cuck. Go complain to your cats. Go do your shitty comedy and go back into your dungeon.
Shitty comedy. Imagine Brendan telling Marc. I know Marc Maron's an acquired taste. I personally like his style of comedy. I reviewed one of his specials on my Patreon. Check out the Patreon link in the description. Patreon.com/Agostino. But imagine letting Brendan Schaub insult your comedy. Imagine.
Well, see, this is
Fuck
somebody.
that, dude. I'm done being nice to him, and I was a fan of Marc.
What do you mean I'm done being nice to him? I'm done being nice to him. What? He probably doesn't even know you exist. He probably doesn't even remember who you are. I'm done being nice to him. I'm sure he's heartbroken. I'm sure Marc Maron's heartbroken that Brendan doesn't want to be his friend anymore.
I get it, dude. I understand. I get people. I would say people on, on the base level need to get punched in the face more. I would say. I'm not. Do I condone somebody punching Marc Maron? No, but it's like,
I do.
Surely at the base level, if people deserve to get punched in the face more, wouldn't the guy that's accused of touching up kids or being involved with really barely legal sometimes underage girls allegedly, wouldn't he be the one that would be first in line? If there was somebody that deserved to get punched in the face, wouldn't be the guy who avoided any prison time for the things that they were accused of, which probably would have got other people in prison? Wouldn't that be the person? I don't know. Wouldn't that be one of the people that would be in front of the queue for a face punching?
Understand what? Well, look, it's that whole thing. Like you say, keep that energy. That's what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Well, the reason he can go to podcasts to do is because there's no repercussions.
Because it hasn't happened.
There's no repercussions because he's just sharing his opinion, brother. He's not threatening to beat up anybody. He's not said any fighting words. He's merely saying he thinks Rogan's a hack. He thinks Rogan's not funny. He thinks your friends, not you, because you don't do comedy anymore. He thinks your friends have an outsized influence in the scene. He thinks your friends are punching down, which they maybe are. That's all. That's why he hasn't been punched in the face.
He's around other cucks.
I know. But in a way, it does happen because people like you, people like, certain people will look at this and be like, why is he doing this? And then you just get, whether you like.
Yeah, exactly. Big up Shades Cow. Exactly. That's the main reason. All they're doing is signaling to Joe, hey, I will come on your podcast and defend you just like Andrew did. I'm ride or die. Exactly. Even this defense isn't even genuine. It's more of a, hey, Rogan, I'm your real friend, It's kind of a, self-congratulating in its own way. Yeah, you're definitely right.
Like it or not, I don't think that people who Like, I'd rather have a fan base that truly appreciates me than people watching because of gossip shit. I talked about on my podcast, I talked about the old when Robert De Niro was on Sesame Street in 1980 something. And I talked about it for 10 minutes, dude. And I want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about this other bullshit. I want to talk about that. If you want to be down with me and you want to be one of those viewers that watches that, then do that. If you want to be there to see, what does Chris say about the life of comedy now and who's into what? I don't want that. I don't want a million views.
All right.
I just don't.
Yeah, the man that doesn't get a million views anymore doesn't want them anymore. That's interesting, isn't it? The guy who doesn't get many views anymore because of his said indiscretions, all of a sudden doesn't care about views anymore. I think that's really interesting. I think that's really fucking interesting. Don't get me wrong, he still gets a decent amount of views for what he, considering what he's done alleged to have done in his past, and for what's happened and stuff, he still does get a very decent, especially the pod he does by himself. Congratulations. But let's not act like, this guy wasn't Mr. Views at one point, he was getting those Theo numbers before Theo, Chris was. But anyway, all in all, the threat that Brendan said to fucking Marc Maron was fucking crazy, overboard and unnecessary. Again, most of it was not even a real threat, was more so a signal, as Shades Cow said, to Rogan that, hey, I'm your best boy, I'm your best bootlicker, I'm your best shoe polisher. That's mostly what it was. But I just think the notion that, these guys are espousing that Rogan cannot be criticized, cannot be dissed, cannot be mocked, cannot be laughed at in public is kind of insane. It's kind of insane to make it seem as if Rogan's beyond reproach. He's beyond being teased. He's beyond being fucking ribbed. He's beyond being called out. It's fucking insane. Really is fucking insane. But again, these guys are all aboard the Rogan train. They're all aboard the bloody Rogan train.